Hello again, everyone. It's Mark Dempsey. I'm an author and journalist, and today we're going to be taking an insider's look at the Department of Education of Alabama, which I think you'll find very, very interesting. Now, to start off, I want you to imagine what 25,000 people look like. What does 25,000 people look like? Well, if you turn on television and you see a sold-out NBA game, that'll give you a pretty good idea of what 20 to 25,000 people look like. So the next time you turn on television and watch your favorite NBA team and thousands of people are surrounding the court and it's a sold-out game, enough people that can fill an entire stadium, you'll have a pretty good idea of what 20 to 25,000 people look like. Well, 25,000 people is also the number of kids that drop out of Alabama schools practically every single year. That's right, 25,000 kids, enough to fill an entire basketball stadium. And how much does that cost the state of Alabama every single year for that class? $6 billion. $6 billion. Well, I had a project that I thought would be very helpful to the state that would reduce the number of dropouts, that would encourage kids to read, that would give them a love for learning, and that would reach out to minority communities and give them positive examples, because sometimes it only takes one positive example to make a big difference in a child's life. And so what did I do? I emailed Dr. Joseph Morton with my idea. I told him a little bit about myself, what the project would entail. I said that it would also raise money for schools, and goodness knows the schools in Alabama certainly do need the money. Well, what response did I get from Dr. Morton about this great idea that I had? Zero, nothing, nada, not one response, nothing. I couldn't believe it. There's around 25,000 kids dropping out of school every single year in Alabama, costing the state a whopping $6 billion, and that's not worthy of a reply? Well, I was trying to think now, what does Dr. Morton really care about? What would he respond to? So I had my friend Julie email him, and this is what she had to say to Dr. Morton. There's an overflowing toilet at my son's school, which poses an unsanitary condition. I believe it is a health hazard. I'm not sure who to talk to about this. Can you please give me some guidance on how I can solve this problem? Thank you, Julie. Well, within a couple of days, Dr. Morton responded to Julie, and he did so on Sunday, so I guess he's really working overtime. And this is what Joe Morton had to say to my friend Julie about the overflowing toilet in one school in Alabama. I was in Birmingham on Friday for 2 meetings. May I suggest in the future that if issues like this develop, that you begin immediately by contacting the school directly. You do not give the name of the school or the school system, but each school system has a maintenance department, and I'm sure would address these kinds of issues immediately. Wow, my goodness, sounds a little condescending, don't you think? It doesn't even have Julie's name. It didn't even put her name on there for the salutation. But there's another problem with this poorly written email as well, because the second part of it isn't written properly. There's a grammatical error. You really can't say what you said here, Dr. Morton, and I'm going to correct it for you. And by the way, did you know that Dr. Morton has a PhD? Isn't that amazing? So here's how it really should sound. You can say this, but each school system has a maintenance department that I'm sure would address these kinds of issues immediately. Or you can say, but each school system has a maintenance department, and I'm sure they would address these kinds of issues immediately. Just, grammar police are all over the place. I just couldn't let that one go by. So what does this say about Joe Morton and his leadership of the schools in Alabama? Well, nothing good, because he is willing to respond to an overflowing toilet instead of my concern about high school dropouts. Does he really care about high school dropouts? Well, apparently not. And how much does the state pay Joe Morton not to care about high school dropouts? A whopping $197,000 a year. That's right. So he can respond to my friend Julie about an overflowing toilet and his solution that his PhD has given him. Well, contact the maintenance department, Julie. The maintenance department. There's the solution. I've given it a lot of thought. I'm Joe Morton. But have you really given a lot of thought about high school dropouts, Dr. Morton? Apparently not, because you never responded to me. And isn't that sad? And isn't that a shame? Because you see, those dropouts are going to cause the state of Alabama tremendous cost in the future. And the personal cost for kids dropping out, well, that's terrible, because you see, dropouts cause higher incarceration rates, higher medical costs, and the list goes on and on and on. And you see, that deserves a response, because that's in the best interest of the state of Alabama. That's in the best interest of the kids and the families who send their kids to school. Much more so than an overflowing toilet that the maintenance department can handle. Anyway, I thought you'd like to know about this story. My name is Mark Dempsey. I'm an author and journalist, and you're welcome to contact me if you like at markd112@yahoo.com. That's markd112@yahoo.com. And thanks so much for listening.